Okay. Not the face that you guys might have expected, uh, but for some technical limitations here on YouTube, uh, I'm kind of restarting the stream. Um, Captain Paul will be joining us shortly, so um, a little bit of housekeeping. Thank you for checking out our stream. I'm Dr. Evil. I'm one half of the TSP podcast. Captain Paul will be joining us shortly, and we are going to have a pretty uncomfortable conversation on this Friday evening. Uh, for me, I'm already uncomfortable. I've been sick all week. I remain under the weather, so to speak. Um, but I thought it was important to have the conversation, so to speak. So I'm going to be joined by Cap soon enough, but kind of going over, what we already know. Election day has come and gone. Seditionalist says, "My condolences, DEG, with regards to today's topic." Yeah, I mean, you know, Captain Paul and I, we built this podcast to be a place where people can share ideas that may not necessarily agree, but still have an approach that is with uh, love and respect in mind. And this is a very divisive topic that, from at least my vantage point, really brings out the worst in people. And even when you go to analyze the subject without moral judgment, it draws out fanatics on both sides. So it's very frustrating to try to hold these kind of discussions. Um, but I think that it is still important, and I think Cap agrees with me. It is important to still have these uncomfortable discussions.
Yeah.
And I have to agree with you as far as the outcome of the election, which is why I chose the same title that you chose, Cap.
Mm.
Liberals have no one but themselves to blame for this, and I really want to get more of. Um, I really want to get more of your opinions. No Sage, welcome to the stream. Says liberals should celebrate themselves for what they did in this election cycle. We're going to take that as as sarcasm. Okay. But there are a lot of things that liberals engaged in, and more sarcasm. We respect it, no Sage. We respect it. Um,
What is that?
um, you said it's commendable, not blameworthy, if you ask me. Um, so, Cap, if you can kind of recap your analysis of why Tuesday came and went the way it did.
Dude, I mean, honestly, when it comes down to it, the American people felt their issues weren't being addressed. I think I feel like overall Democrats have lost touch with the everyday American. And this used to be a party that was concerned about the working class and no longer is. and they're more concerned about getting like into, and I hate saying this word, but like the woke stuff, like God, I cringe even saying it. But they get lost and overly concerned with that things, but not concerned with the person that's barely struggled, like is struggling to get by paycheck to paycheck, barely able to feed their family. And I think Americans as a whole got fed up. And we talked about this on the phone, and I'll say this again. Kamala Harris was not voted by the American people to represent the Democrats. She was picked. She was picked by the Democrat Party. She was picked.
Can
And
we talk about that for a second? Let's deep dive into that a little bit.
absolutely.
Because I remember when, Biden held out for so long, he wanted to hold on to power. And you and I had the discussions about how, none of these mofos really care about anybody except themselves.
Nope.
And, it took, Biden, looking like the dude in have you seen The Irishman? Of course you have,
Of
right?
course not.
The dude is sitting there in the nursing home, in a wheelchair at the end of the movie, right?
Mm.
And Biden waited until it was very clear that his mental faculties were pretty much lost unless they like hit him with a jab of methamphetamine or something.
You're just fucking.
And and like unless they had him coked up, the dude was just lost in the sauce, right? So but the dude wanted power so bad that he waited until the very 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 last moment to do what we all know to be the right thing. Now, when you looked at the process the day that he announced that he was giving it up, there was speculation like across the gamut of who was going to be the nominee, and before anybody could even like try to soak in the thought of who was going to be next, everybody threw like like $20 million at Kamala Harris in the span of 12 hours. It's like, whoa, 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 who picked you?
Well, the fun part about all that is when Kamala Harris was running for president, like what was that 16 or 20? It was 16. When she was kind of trying to go run the gamut there, dude, she was a laughing stock. She got destroyed by Tulsi Gabbard. And I think the problem I have is just with the Democrats, and especially in this election, you pick somebody that nobody voted for. Like, could we have some type of like voting, some type of primary? And I understand it was very, it
Yeah,
was process and it really hasn't been seen before. But it's also kind of on the whole Democratic Party not be like Biden, like, hey, let's maybe kind of push you out the door here. I mean, I understand sitting president, that would have been awkward, but if the liberals and Democrats want to blame anybody, it's themselves for picking such a poor candidate. I mean, and I kind of, I don't really mean this, but I feel like it's like a worse version of Hillary Clinton. You know,
yeah, yeah,
like
yeah,
I genuinely, I think it's a worse version of Hillary Clinton.
yeah.
And why pick Kamala Harris? Is it just because she's a female? Is it because of anything that she's done? Like what
But
is
what
Kamala
has she done except
exactly?
the only thing that she really uh the only thing that she really represented is negative in the minds of most people. I only heard about her being the border czar or whatever she was supposed to be. I only heard about that when they were talking about her replacing Biden. And I was just like, I had not seen or heard anything about Kamala Harris the entire 3.5 years before they said, hey, we're going to throw her in the race. So I didn't know that A, she did anything in the White House, and B, as a straight black man in the United States, I know that's a crime to be a straight black man in the United States, right? That doesn't hate white men as well. Oh, wow, I need to be executed,
You're
right?
disgusting. You hate me.
Kamala Harris is best known to black men as the person that tried her darndest to keep black men in prison for as long as she possibly could
Yeah.
for nonviolent crimes in California. Like that's what she's known for. So the only people that really supported her were the strong independent, and you can continue that phrase. Everybody knows who we're talking about. And
I do.
they're not the most popular group in the United States. Obviously, you're not allowed to say anything publicly to criticize them for any reason, but they are not very well liked whatsoever. So when Harris starts her campaign, what do? They start with chicks that talk about their wet ass pussy, and they get on stage shaking their fucking butt cheeks in your face. And she's all about making sure she's seen with the guys that say that they're girls. And the thing is, the vast majority of the country not only they don't really support all of that, but they also don't identify with that. When you're talking about being out of touch, that's what you're talking about. Like she wants,
So,
I actually saw one of these
yeah,
racist guys, and he actually made a point, Cap. He goes, look at all the people who are supporting Trump, and then look at the group of people who are public supporting Kamala Harris, and it's all the dumb people who got rich off of the entertainment industry that don't know shit about shit. And none of us can really identify with them either, because they're a bunch of mostly talentless hacks that are super rich for what?
yeah, playing a character. I mean, it's like this is the problem, right? I do want to talk about what speak on what Stilitionalist just commented, right? He said Harris wasn't picked by the people and therefore they should blame themselves for picking her. What am I missing? No, what you're missing with this reasoning is saying the liberals should blame themselves for this. Like the Democrats should blame themselves for this. They picked Kamala Harris. Like the people in power in the Democratic Party, like they signed off on this picking of Harris. I mean, this was a terrible decision. I
Mm.
mean, like
Yeah,
I
they should
feel,
have had a special election to decide excuse me, Biden's replacement in the race,
yeah,
not just in,
but
yeah.
the thing is, I have the problem with the liberals overall is that they're all about democracy. They're all about uh, the ability to choose and things of that nature. Just like no, but the
Remember what
vote
they did to Bernie Sanders? That was not democracy.
exactly when it got to. I was gonna say I did say that in the last video. It's like when it came to Bernie, nah, you just picked Hillary Clinton instead. So when it came to an actual good option, you decided to pick with Kamala Harris because she fit the mold or she fit certain parameters that you could placate and kind of win woke points on. That
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
that's the point that we're trying to
They didn't
make.
learn from Disney, Cap. Disney's over here flopping with all their Marvel movies. Oh, people are tired of the superhero genre. No, they're tired of super mega feminists in the
Yeah,
movie
I mean
theaters. That's what they're tired of.
when it comes down to it,
Oh,
the people do not have this whole like let's like super woke. Like there's just a lot of people are just normal, just regular human beings. Like I'm into cool films, cool stuff, but I mean just constantly forcing certain agendas down other people's throat. I feel like it's due to this type of political ideology why a lot of people voted for Trump. Like you saw a massive increase in black voters for Trump,
yeah.
and
Well, there wasn't. Actually, there wasn't. There was not a massive
it was
increase.
a ten
What?
percent.
Say that
It
again,
was
Cap.
there was a 10% increase in black
Yeah,
voters.
that's not massive. It was still 4-1
Yeah,
black men, and it was still 9-10. It was still 9-1 black people overall. Like
a 10% increase over 4 years is a big that's a big increase. And considering, and I'm gonna say something that's not gonna probably be very popular to a lot of people, is the Democrat Party does not care about black people. They have just
neither party cares about black people.
my that the liberal Democrat Party tries to placate like, oh, we care about all these issues where they really
Yeah,
don't. And due to
and that
that,
makes them worse.
yeah,
From a black man's perspective, you make a good point, Cap. From a
I
black man's perspective, if you were supposed to be the party that's supposed to care about minorities, and you show up as one that doesn't really show it,
yeah,
at least the other side is a little bit more transparent with their dislike of us darkies, right? But when you're supposed to be like the champion of us, it's and then you show like and you know when you think about the way that Kamala Harris ran her campaign cap, what did she do? She 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 her approach was trying to shame black men into voting for her. Like, what the fuck is that?
I mean, Obama did that first, right? Where he, like, remember Obama said, he says he'll put you back in chains. Remember that?
No,
Like,
no, but no. That was using a fear mongering tactic.
but that, but
Like Kamala Harris was out here saying that black men, and Obama was out here saying, yo, you're a sexist and you hate your own
oh,
people,
yeah,
and
yeah, I did.
how before the guys can even go to the polls already, how could you not vote for her? And 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 the thing is, among a lot of black people who are black, they're like, she's not even black, and why are we even having this conversation about voting for her based on skin color? What are her policies? We still haven't heard them.
Yeah.
We still
Well,
haven't heard the
but the
policies.
thing, so the Democratic Party is so used to black people. I'm just being blunt. They're
Yeah,
just
they take them for granted.
they're just so used to them voting them from regardless. They can just treat them like trash. And I think,
Especially the black men. They did a lot of kissing up to the black women.
but sad.
Again, placing the women over the men, which
Well, that
no other racial group in the world does.
but the problem is that that's just been a common thing over, I would say, what, 20 years.
No, it's been a good 60 or 70 years.
Yeah, I mean, I think
Yeah.
overall, when it comes down to it, the reason why people voted Trump is, dude, they were just kind of fed up with
Fed
this. And,
up.
and
Yeah, there's a lot of
I,
angry people.
I saw seditionalists delete this comment. But I do want to kind of talk about it. Is like, oh well, there was a massive bump in Hispanics that voted for Trump, or Latinos, and they're excited to leave the motherland. That's assuming that, like, I hate
Most
it's
Latinos vote
I have to say
Republican
this.
from
I
the.
have to say this. Liberals do say some stuff off, like some off the cuff stuff. I'm like, yo, like, not every person that's Latino or Hispanic descent's illegal. Like, like, chill. It's not like that. And also, there's certain subsects, and you would know this as well.
Yeah,
Like Cubans, right? Republican.
yeah.
Like, there's certain subsects of
Which is
different.
really funny because they're like the only group that are allowed to come here completely undocumented. And they're against the
Yeah,
undocumented coming here, which
they're
is the funniest shit in the world. It's like, we hate the undocumented immigrant. Don't mind us because, you know, your government hates the Cuban government. Don't look at us. We just
Well,
showed up on shore on rafts with no paperwork, but don't look at us. No.
I know this. I know this is a real story. So when I was out in the Gulf, I was on a ship. We were crossing the Gulf. We actually saw a raft from Cuba. Like, we
Mm,
were on it, and we were going to send aid, but the Coast Guard got in there first
right, right.
because it was like, you have to report it, and then the Coast Guard deals with it, and they have to get an international. It was very interesting. I've never saw, like, it opens your eyes, like, to leave a country in a raft, like, in deep water, like, yo, like,
Elian Gonzalez.
yo, crazy. I'll say that's crazy because, like, even on a boat myself, I'm not jumping over to get in that water on a raft. I'm good. That's it's wild. But going, back more into the topic,
Mm,
I think for me as a whole, it was such just a poor campaign. I think Kamala's best moment was that speech she had. Well, why don't you come see it to my face? Say it to my face. That was her best moment. And then after that, it's like, she did okay. She did okay during the debate. I don't think she did as bad as some people said or great as some people think. I think she was just decent. And I think overall, when it comes to Kamala Harris, she just wasn't a very exciting candidate. I mean, were you really excited to vote for Harris? Were you really excited? Like, no. And I think one of the most intelligent things that Trump did during this campaign was humanize himself. He went on to these long form podcasts, unscripted, and
Yeah, you
just
mentioned that. Yeah.
talked like a human being. Where Kamala Harris would reach out to this, like her people reached out to the same podcasts, and she wanted to make sure they were edited and like they could edit it and make sure the doctor the message, just in case there was a slip up. And I think that regardless of what you think about um, Trump, he came off far more human than Kamala Harris, especially if you watch those podcasts. Like he came off like, oh wow, like this guy isn't the monster the media makes him out to be. And whatever you think of his policy, there's a whole different conversation. I'm just saying, optically, he did a great job of humanizing himself, and I think that's why he kind of won in decisive manner. Like it's just,
Well, there's more than just that. I want to address two different things. Number one, first of all, let me address something else, guys. When you come into this stream, this is not a Trump nut hugger stream. So, if you're looking for us to be like riding Trump's cock, this is not the place. We're having like a real analytical conversation about what just happened on Tuesday. We want people who are going to have real, rational conversations about these types of things. That's number
but
one.
I also want to make clear we are not a Harris defending stream either. Like we're coming at
No,
it.
yeah, like we're definitely going to be very critical of both parties
Yeah.
in the way that they ran the campaigns, but we want to actually have a real um uh rational conversation about all of the factors that led up to this. So it wasn't just about like how Trump ran the campaign. There was another factor that I don't think a lot of people are really talking about. Um um and we did cover what Alan Willis. We covered your first point, but we're going to read it because it bears repeating. She went about it all wrong with the help of Megan, aka Megan Thee Stallion, and Glorilla. Terrible. People
Yeah,
need to understand that black people, we're
it
talking
came
about
off so
well-to-do black people who have like
bad.
actual principles, which are the majority of black people. They don't fuck with the new age rappers that are, pushing their pussy and butt cheeks in your face on stage. Like regular, like we know that is what's being sold by the music industry as far as our ethnic public image, but the vast majority of black people do not ride with those. When you
No,
think about the album sales and you think about the ticket sales, there's a reason why those so-called artists are not, they don't sell tickets. They get a bunch of plays on social media and on Spotify, where you get free, you get free access to it, and you can
hmm
just run the same songs with ads over and over and over again, and they think, oh my god, they're super popular. But then they end up canceling concerts because nobody's actually willing to spend real money to go see them get on stage with their total lack of dignity and talent, and then throw their fucking secondary sexual organs in your face and then walk off the stage like they did something. Nobody, like the majority of black people don't play with that. That's number one. But I also want to talk. Yeah, Alan Willis says thank you, and I'm black, hardworking man of 5 children. Exactly. He doesn't want his kids being that's what his kids see. That's not what he want. That's not, like, and the thing is, you want to say, oh, you're a sexist if you don't vote for Kamala Harris. No, actually look at the ethnic public image that she is trying to put forth, which, and I'm going to keep repeating it, is not her actual culture where she came from.
no.
She didn't actually have black family members. She just came out looking sort of black because of her mix,
I'm not.
right? Like, I'm going to be real with you. My mix is not that much different than hers.
Yeah,
Notice how I don't look that different from Kamala Harris, if we're being honest. We both have family from the Caribbean and India. I
yeah,
just also have black family as well on my father's side,
yeah.
right? She doesn't have that. So it's
I,
like, yo, like chill with the bullshit. That's another thing. But I want to get into the real nitty gritty, right?
mhm.
And this really speaks to the ignorance of the American people where they either don't understand timelines or they're so emotionally possessed
Hmm.
to the team that they say that they're going to play for or they're going to root for, that they just have problems with like basic history. And I'm only talking about the basic history going back to, let's just go back to 2019. And I talked to people about this already. If you go back to October 19, when the virus started to circulate around China, right? The virus made its way to New York, and we had our patient zero here in January. They shut down the city the day after I went to a Knicks game. I think I went to a Knicks game with Mrs. Evil, I think. Um, no, it was somebody else. I went to a Knicks game with somebody else, and they shut down the city the next day. Now, when the rest of the country kind of caught up in April and really started to shut down most of the country between, the middle of April and like May,
Hmm.
and I'm talking about like really shut it down, right? The people have to remember in March, April 2020, the election year was that year. The president was not elected until November, and that would be Biden. Biden was not elected until November 2020, did not take the White House until 2021. The Trump administration signed into law the two policies that led to the massive inflation of 2021 through 2024. They were forced to sign this legislation. That was the PPP loans, and that was the stimulus package when they gave the $600 to everybody, and then the PPP loans, which has stipulations that if people were left on payrolls, that the loans didn't have to be paid back. So that's free money. That is money that liquidates the American dollar. You don't blame Trump for that because it was a novel virus that went around. You can't blame the president for that. But
Right.
him and his administration was forced to sign into law two different policies that caused, and economists were very, very clear across the board. We were going to be looking at crazy inflation if the government decides to go through with the PPP loans and the $600 plus $1,400 or whatever it was that Trump and his administration signed into law. They were warning about this before anybody voted in the 2020 election. It just so happened that we felt the burn of those policies while Biden was in office. So then people started making stickers about high gas prices. Oh, Biden did that. Biden did not invade fucking the country next door to Russia, Ukraine. Biden didn't invade Ukraine. Biden didn't tell Russia to invade Ukraine. Russia is the world's third, either the fourth or fifth largest oil producer. They are the plus in OPEC plus.
Well,
They got sanctioned out the wazoo, and then their oil was taken out of the market, which drove oil prices higher. There's nothing that the
well,
president can really do in those situations for or against the market.
but
So
this is the one.
Biden was fucked coming into the White House when it came to a lot of these economic issues. And people just don't understand that, Cat.
But Biden also, and this is the thing, right? There's definitely truths in what you're saying, right? When it comes to the stimulus, the PPE loans, I understand that. But also, Biden didn't help things, especially with gas and oil, when he stopped pretty much all drilling,
No,
and
but
he
then he went and then he approved even more drilling than what was happening before, which is why the gas prices are so low today. Biden did that.
the thing is that when it comes down to it, they were pushing a lot of green energy. Now, I work on the wind turbines,
Yeah, I
right?
know you love roasting, roasting that shit.
Because it's not green at all. It's kind of hilarious, but um, and that's a whole different
Not
conversation.
all green energy though, just the wind turbines offshore.
No, like, dude, none of this is green. I hate to tell
Well,
you
yeah,
this.
yeah, yeah, the wind turbines.
Yeah, like they're like the wind turbines. Yeah, I don't. I gotta be careful what I say here because I work, but like
Okay.
so like
I'm not gonna give.
that,
I'm
that
not gonna give.
not as green as people try to make it claim to be. But anyways,
Yeah.
I think the when it comes down to it, where there is some truth in what you're saying, we did see, and like I'll have to get articles. I don't have it ahead of me, but like oil production, he stopped drilling for most part. He did pick up some other, and there has been more um, drill drill platforms, some drill ships that have become more active in his like later part of his term because he understood the ramifications with everything going on. That being said, though, with Biden, when it comes down to it, there is some truth to what you say that the emotionality of the situation and how what people are dealing with on the day to day
Hmm.
kind of blocks them to look at reason. And I don't think Biden was a great president. I don't. I think there was
What did he do that was significantly good for anything or anyone? What did he do while he was in the White House?
the Biden was just very just there. And I feel like that's when it comes down to it, that's what the people remember. And instead of, they remember under Trump, like, when most of the
I thought.
years under Trump, groceries were like, maybe cost you 60, $70, and now it costs you 150 to $170 just to get like a week's worth of groceries. They remember rent not being so expensive and housing and just living overall, just not being expensive as it is now when it was under Trump. And that's what people realize. And now, mind you, and I said this before, I'll reiterate this. Not everything is indicative of the president in office. There's like a multitude of problems going on there, a lot of different reasonings why housing's going up. You're having, these big corporations buy houses up and raise the prices and, make rent to go through the roof and just make like buying a two-bedroom house cost a stupid amount of money where before it used to be far more affordable, and just pricing out the middle class overall. Like, unless you're rich, it is very difficult to buy a house right now. I'm living that firsthand. But when Trump was in office, people remember, like, hey, I had some money in my savings. Hey, like, food didn't cost as much, gas wasn't as much, and overall, we had a better way of life, and that's why I think after these 4 years, I feel a very high level of mediocrity. People are like, you know what, maybe it wasn't as bad under Trump. Like maybe we should just try to give this thing another go. And I think after his intelligent campaign and going on these podcasts and humanizing himself, he's like, well, maybe he's not this evil monster, and maybe he's not the next coming of the Third Reich people try to claim him to be on these media.
Well, he was claiming it himself. I mean, the dude has been talking incessantly. His campaign had to stop him from constantly saying that. I remember that there was some Christian people he was talking to, and he was like, if you just vote for me this one more time, you'll never have to vote again. And it's just like, how the fuck is anybody supposed to take that other than you're going to try to end democracy? You're
But
always praising the dictators around the world and then telling people they'll never have to vote again if they vote for you this time. Like that's crazy.
my thing is, I do recall the one quote he said. What was it? There was one quote he said that was kind of like, I'd only be a dictator for one day on the first day. And I feel like some of that is because he feels like he's been unfairly
Yeah, that's why I didn't pay attention to that too
un,
much. Yeah.
unfairly criticized or unfairly treated. And to a certain degree, he is. I mean, I'm no Trump fan, right? I'm not like some Trumper, but
Yeah.
I would have to say, in comparison to what a lot of these politicians do, like Nancy Pelosi with the insider trader, like that would be illegal for me or you to do.
It
Like,
is illegal for her to do it too.
yeah,
How she got away with it, who knows?
but it's not really. I mean, they live under a different set of rules, um, and that's kind of the unfair aspect of it. But looking just overall, Democrats have themselves to blame. Like if Democrats had a candidate and they more ran on like, okay, like this is how we can kind of fix the problems we're in, and like really heavily campaign instead of focusing on like, again, I hate saying this, like woke type issues, just like focus on real issues everyday Americans face and stop
Right.
deeming half the population.
Right.
And and then you would, because it's like if you don't vote for Kamala Harris, you're a bigot, you're a racist, you're a sexist, all these
You
it's
hate your mother. You hate women.
it's just like to me it's like there was probably some people, I'm not saying all of them, but there was probably some people, you know what? Fuck this. Now I'm definitely just voting for Trump out of spite.
Oh yeah, and the
Like,
thing is, you heard me say it. You heard me say it on our filthy casual MMA watch party right here on TSP. You know, for those who love MMA, we cover it every weekend. You know, I was so angry by what I heard from Barack Obama. And you know me, I'm as anti-politics as they come. Like I'm
yeah,
not voting for nobody. But when I heard what Obama had to say, I'm like, I hope all the black men vote for Trump now. Fuck all of y'all. Like,
yeah.
who the fuck do you think you are? Because when you think about it, no candidate on either side ever treats black men like black men are actual real human beings. You know, you had the Bidens and the Clintons talking about super predators. You know, you've had Trump still, he's still telling lies about the Central Park Five. Like, and then you got Kamala Harris trying to keep black men in prison as a prosecutor, and then trying to use shame, trying to use sign language, shame, insults, guilt, and the need to be right. And it's like, you've never done anything. You've never shown any concern for the straight black man in America. Not one thing have you ever said to say, you know what? I care about any of these people. And for some black people look at her choice in husband as a kind of like a rubber stamp on her anti-black male position. Now, when you want something from black men, all of a sudden you recognize we exist again. No, I hope, and I've said that right here on this platform, as anti-politics as I am, I hope all the black men vote for Trump. Just off of that alone. And is that an emotional knee jerk reaction? Yes. Is that the smart play? No. But this is how angry the Democratic Party makes people,
Well,
even
it's
somebody like me.
I think like, and I have my
And I'm
leanings.
as that anti Trump as they come. And I'm still saying, I hope all y'all motherfuckers voted for Trump.
I think you know my leanings. I lean conservative, and on certain
As
issues.
red as your face.
Yep. Right. But the problem I have overall is with Kamala Harris is it just she made Trump look so much more human. She was so robotic, so fake, so manufactured.
One of the fakest people in America,
Like,
Kamala Harris.
accents can you hit? Can she hit Haitian? She can hit Jamaican. She can hit, Hispanic. She was speaking all these different
Tone
types.
switching like a motherfucker.
Like, you would get beat up if you spoke like this and normally. Like, if you were,
Yeah.
like, real, like, you be straight, just
People would
like,
call her racist if she
of
was
course,
white doing that shit.
yeah, yeah. If it was white, they would have been like thrown out of there, right?
Yeah.
I'd be real, like, it was kind of like when her doing the voice stuff was like Hillary Clinton going on to the Breakfast Club with the hot sauce in her purse
Oh,
type
I
thing.
was about to mention that too.
Yeah,
Hillary Clinton got roasted for that.
like it's hilarious, and I think quite frankly, um, when it comes down to it, the American people just had enough of it, and
Yeah.
they're tired of dealing with the issues that they're facing. They feel like, hey, let's try something different. Like, let's try to get a candidate that maybe, and it's not just the presidency. I mean, the Senate, the House, like all of it went Republican,
Right.
and I think it's a big testament of how sick people, how fed up people are. The American people are of just the bullshit. They're like, you know what? Maybe they don't have the greatest policies, but at least they're like actually trying to do something about this fucking lunacy or the fucking problems we're facing in this country. Like the real,
Right.
instead of focusing on a bunch of pandering bullshit, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
that's a lot of what unfortunately Democrats are. Like Democrats need to look themselves in the face instead of being, you know, overly concerned with like trans stuff and all things. I'm sorry, I'm gonna say,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. I totally agree.
but why don't we actually focus on, like, I don't know, the fucking deficit? Let's focus on maybe a different tax system so it's a fair way of doing things. Like
Yeah.
there's just so many more important things I can talk about instead of like less than a percent or like less than 5% of the fucking country. It's
Can I
just
say this, Cap? Because I
yeah,
want to touch on that point. I want to touch on that point real quick because I think it's important that I say this. Okay. Now we know that I am the liberal leaning side of the podcast. I'm known for that, right? Even though some people say that I'm not as liberal as I believe that I am. I don't talk about all of my beliefs all the time, right?
maybe
But I will say this, Cap. I was talking to one of my clients today who's way on the left. I mean, she's way on the left, and we had a discussion today, and she says, as liberal as we want to be and we want to care about people who are down and out and don't have many choices, we can all admit that the migrant issue is a real big fucking problem. Let's not pretend like, even if there were none of them were criminals, because almost none of them are criminals, but some of them are and they're causing problems, right? But even if not a single one of them committed a crime, their presence is a problem. I'll talk to you about New York City, right? I know you like to rag on New York City, right?
it's a shithole.
All of the money that was put towards the migrants, if they just put that money towards the MTA, then they can take these fucking congestion pricing cameras down and leave us drivers the fuck alone. They could have done that. And there's so much that we can do as a country if we spent about half as much as we do on weapons that kill brown people in other countries. We cut that in half. We, stop taking all of the world's destitute. We stop meddling in other sovereign nations' affairs, which destabilize their governments and then make people want to flee after our covert ops destabilize their governments in South America and in Africa. We leave those people to live their lives in their country. We won't have a migrant crisis, and we can use our money for our people. And that's the part of the America First that I would like to see implemented. Stop, interfering in other sovereign governments' affairs. Make sure they don't fuck with you. Create the best defensive weapons that you can. Stop being Team America World Police. Focus on your own and then spend your tax dollars on the American people. How about that?
I agree. I don't want to be in foreign wars. I don't want to be involved. Now, the thing is, for example, Ukraine and Russia. And this is not going to be a popular opinion. I understand this, but I just don't like us being involved in something like that. It really has nothing to do with us. If I'm being real, and I will say blanketly, like it's a weird catch-22, right? I understand why you'd want to defend certain things. I think some of the old, communism containment policies or beliefs is still there in American politics, I should say, right? Like we want to contain communism, we want to contain that. But I also think at some point, why are we fighting everybody else's battles? Like why are
Right.
we these other different issues that really do not pertain to us? And it's like it does get tiring as an American citizen, funding all these foreign wars that like, oh, maybe we'd be better off spending this money elsewhere. And I do believe having a strong military, I think you have to spend that money. You have to make sure you're a force. So I understand there is going to be some type of involvement internationally, especially like, having presences on bases and things of that nature. But I do agree, like, why are we involved in all these different conflicts that does not concern us? And, you
I know
know,
why though, because if you let them continue to go the way that they go,
yeah,
it will end up involving us. I mean, if you think about how isolationist the United States was at the start of World War II, in particular, the U.S. was one of the last major nations to get involved. And why was the nation forced to be involved? Because Japan took a stab at Pearl Harbor when there was really no involvement by the United States at that point. They weren't really getting involved. In fact, they made it a point to stay out of World War II.
yeah,
So when you don't, there's a reason. The U.S. has worked over the decades to try to get as many military allies in other countries as possible. Um, and that's one of the only real bad things about Trump's first presidency that really makes me concerned going into this next presidency, is that he did a lot to weaken a lot of the military alliances that the US has around the world, because our allies don't think that our government can be trusted.
I,
So that definitely concerns me.
I think that's an overstatement. I don't think it's to that degree. I think, yeah, you're going to have certain politicians not really be fond of Trump. I think Trump does have more of a firm tone. I also think I really wasn't fond of how kind of a doormat Biden was at times. And
But Trump is a doormat to the dictators around the world. He's always kissing up to North Korea and Russia and all the despots and warlords. He's always kissing their ass,
so this
and always bigging up Adolf Hitler. Think, oh, he was such a great leader and so great. That
I'll,
makes me uncomfortable.
I'll have to check. I'll have to check you on the that Hitler, because I don't, that doesn't make sense. But
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
no, but I don't
Yeah.
know if actually what he said, because that doesn't compute. But I'm
Yeah,
saying,
people who work for him quoted him in meetings. He never said it publicly, but he said it during meetings when he was in the White House, talking about how great
but where's
how
the source?
Hitler ran his campaigns.
Where's the source? Where's this? Like, is this just? I don't know, man. Like, there were some people that got upset with Trump when he ousted them when they weren't doing certain things. So I'm gonna take
Yeah,
that
yeah,
shit.
dude, yeah, go ahead. You can check it out. But I was just like, come on, man. Like, even if that's what you really believe, you can't say that shit out loud. Like,
I mean, but I don't know if it's
you're not even allowed to name your kid Adolf in many places around the world. They will reject, like, they want that name to be like gone from like the history of the world. Like, come
no, but
on, man.
again, I don't know if he actually said that. That's all. I'll take that's just hearsay, really. But
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair to say.
because it's like, that could have just been somebody with a fucking axe to grind. Let's be real, because Trump could be like, "You're fired," and then it's over. So, um, but when it comes to, like, for example, the North Korea, I mean, yeah, I mean, the guy's always all got along with him, all that stuff. But at the same time, from reports, I mean, he was relatively firm with him. Like, you have rockets, but I have a bigger rocket. And then you have
That's not what Stormy Daniels said. Sorry, I couldn't resist.
yeah,
I'm sorry.
I know you're just a liberal,
I I couldn't I couldn't resist.
but with um, but with but with Putin, it's like, so this is the thing. I understand where you're coming from, because Putin even said, like, he wants to come to negotiating table. We try to figure something out with the Ukraine thing, right? The problem, I don't really see a problem with him being. I'm not saying they're best friends, but if he can get something done with Russia where they can end this war, I don't think that's really a bad thing. And
But if any of the negotiations end with Russia taking over Crimea and large swaths
but
of
didn't
Ukraine, then
but
that's not the art of the deal.
the extension of Crimea, didn't that happen under Obama?
No, I'm saying because right now, the hold on Crimea is very tentative. Is very tentative. If I think that if Trump really wants to show his negotiating might, he's going to have to kind of set things to where Russia gives up all claims to Ukrainian land, and anything that does not reach that level will seem like a loss because of how much Trump talks about how well he can negotiate.
I mean, I guess, but I mean, what did Obama just handed over Crimea?
I don't think Obama handed over Crimea. I
But
don't think Obama was over there like, "Hey, you can take this." It was, it's a border issue. And the thing is, I don't want the United States to take a lot of blame for what happened in 2014, because the International Criminal Court and the UN, they had a lot. They had a lot that they could have said about that too. And just like you just finished saying, it can't always be on the United States all the time to stop aggression from other countries in the world.
My thing is though, if you're having that same temperament, right, with Obama, then with I could say the same thing with Trump. Like he can't be out here fixing everybody's issues, right?
No,
With the
but no, but he's actually selling himself as the world's greatest negotiator, and he campaigned on his ability to negotiate that situation. So I'm just talking just basically off the claims that he made about what he said he can do. Is going to feel like a loss if he does not negotiate Ukraine getting back all of their sovereignty. If they have to give up large swaths of their land, then I think that it's not going to feel like he's like the art of the deal. Trump is going to feel like a loss on his end.
Banner, fuck you, man. Uh,
Yo, shout out to Dave to Banner. I want to say this about Alan Willis. Let's check this comment. He said, "Me and my mother at odds, but my vote isn't based on color or gender. But I love my mother. This one hit home. You know how many people, and you can look on YouTube and you can look on Black YouTube, how many women are saying that they are divorcing their husbands and breaking up with their boyfriends because of who they chose to vote for? Or I can even tell you on dating apps, a bunch of women have disappeared off dating apps in protest.
right.
Like they ain't out here still gonna be trying to throw that Thadiana out there. Like they're so angry and so emotional that they can't even they're not even willing to live their lives. Like, what are you gonna do? Like, go sleep on the subway for 4 years until Trump's out of the White House? Like,
Did my camera just go off?
yeah, it is the locker room. Professor
Yeah.
Chaos, welcome.
Let's try to fix
Good
it.
to see you again. Um, but this and again, the thing that I don't like about both party supporters this
Hmm.
time around, and this is criticism that I'm going to have for both sides. I remember when Obama was in the White House and people said that he stirred up racial divisions and that Trump is going to be this great uniter when he didn't say anything that united anybody at all. Um, One of the things that I really dislike is that the liberals have basically, gone on this super doom and gloom
I'll be back.
campaign since Tuesday. I guess Cap will be back in a minute. Liberals have gone in this whole, doom and gloom campaign, thinking that the world is now over because you know their um, their figurehead didn't get into the White House. And
Yeah.
then you also have the conservatives that they're not reaching across the aisle to show liberals how good their life can be because their guys got in the White House. Everything that I've seen online, which is why I have avoided politics on YouTube all this entire week, and I've been sick, so I don't want that kind of stress on me while I'm trying to get better, is making fun of people because your person got in the White House. Now, if you thought that your candidate is so good, then you want them to also be good for other people, right? You should want a United States of
Yeah.
America. And I've just seen too much negative shit on both sides where one half of the country is willing to just drop everything and I'm just not going to participate in society anymore because my
Well,
figurehead didn't get in the White House. And I'm
that's the
and
destinification
of
of
America.
of of
Right.
of the internet as a whole, right? So I'll just say this, and I agree, right? The whole ha 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 ha, like listen, shout out to the Indian Jesus. Respect you for your hustle, but the whole like
I was very disappointed. I had to block his stream off my recommended cap.
it came off as cringe, like the whole like let's laugh at liberal.
Drinking liberal tears who are supposed to be moving the country forward.
But like my thing is that's the same thing though that happened when Trump lost and like you had a
Yeah.
bunch of like the Hassans and like the
Yeah.
Denny's. It's like it's the same shit. Everyone does it because like oh my guy won, haha. And I think when it
Now
comes
you,
down,
you got to do it better than that. You could do that better than
my guy won, haha, I'm a piece of shit. Like it's just I think like when it comes down to it, that's just how people are as a whole. Like when their person wins, they're all fucking pumped and amped and like, yeah, fucking fuck that, fuck you, you lost, piece of shit. Like that's how people are, and I think
Yeah.
shout out to Lutch, but like Lutch understands like his demographic, like he understands that he needs to kind of do that. But I'm just gonna speak right here
It's
from the.
still tasteless.
Let me speak from the chest right now, right?
Yeah.
I, the reason I don't like talking about politics as a whole is because it's either you're red or blue, and there's
Yeah.
no fucking
Your
shade.
blood or crip, and that's it.
It's like, yo, what set do you rep? And
Yeah.
I think that's why it's hard for me to like respect any of these political YouTubers because I'm like, I know in your heart of hearts, unless you're a brainwashed sheep, there's going to be certain issues where you're going to be very nuanced on.
Right.
It's not going to
And
be
you should be
fucking
nuanced on all the issues.
yeah. But I just I hate how bootlicking both sides political channels are. If I'm being honest,
Absolutely.
it's like
Absolutely.
and like hop off the tip, at least spit on it a bit. You're getting it raw. Like it's crazy. Like I just like for me, I don't need this much fucking dick being taken by one side. It's crazy. For me, it's why I don't like talking politics because people are like, well, are you conservative or are you liberal? And I'm like, I'm a little bit more conservative. So, what do you view this? I'm like, well, I actually view it in a certain way. And then they're like, well, you're not truly conservative. And then you face the same thing with the liberal side of things. Like, well, you're far more liberal than I am.
Yeah.
And but on certain issues, they're like, well, you're not really liberal because human beings by nature shouldn't be just one echo chamber. Like there
Right.
should be nuance, there should be a variety and a perspective and opinions on many things. But the that's just not how you succeed on YouTube. It's one of the reasons why I wanted our channel to get away from politics because unless me and you were just straight either being MAGA fucking tards or fucking Harris cunts, it
Right.
didn't. It doesn't matter what we say politically because
We're gonna
unless
make both sides angry. They're gonna
yeah,
leave a bunch of dislikes, and we're not gonna get any views.
exactly. That's the thing.
Yep.
It's absolutely. It's just like it's to me as a whole. It gets tiresome with the political side of YouTube because it's like, is that really you? Is
Right.
that really you at the end of the day?
Can,
Because
let me address Professor Chaos real quick. Professor Chaos says it's interesting how the whole market has reacted since Trump got elected. It's been very bullish. I do want to make one correction, Professor Chaos. The selfish, profiteers, absolutely, they're very bullish. But you know who's not bullish right now? Economists. Economists are forecasting a worse inflationary environment for Americans because Trump is going so hard on the threatening of tariffs for all imports into the United States, not just Chinese goods, but 25%, and then an extra percentage on top of the Chinese goods. What he is effectively doing is taxing Americans an extra 25% or more because most of the products that we rely on come from outside the country, unfortunately. So it is going to become even more expensive because real estate is going to get more expensive. Food is going to continue to get more expensive. And then even the goods that we rely on that's relatively cheap, which is why a lot of our corporations go outside the country for materials and labor so that they can sell their products more cheaply to United States to people who live here in the United States. When Trump is successful, and he will be successful in levying all of these tariffs, because the entire government is about to be red. There's going to be no democratically controlled anything as a system of checks and balances. The first 2 years of the Trump White House is going to be very, very telling because prices are going to go up a lot
I mean,
and wages are not going to go up. Wages are not going to go up, but the cost of goods are going to go up. So I was
yeah,
thinking about replacing one of my cars with a different type of car, but now I may not be able to get that car at all because an extra 25% tacked on top of that, if they go through with this, I won't be able to replace. I would have to get something much much cheaper and much much shittier.
Well, my thing is this, man, is we'll see how it goes with the tariffs. I don't think it's gonna personally, I don't. I think if they really think it out well, I think the tariff thing is just like there's going to probably be something, but I don't think it's going to be to the degree of what you're saying, because he's going to understand that the constituents, the people that voted for him, are looking to lessen their cost of living. So we'll see how that goes. If it
But the thing is,
does,
he wants to force more employment here in the United States. So by putting the tariffs in place, he wants to force Americans to buy more products that are made in America. But the problem is the stuff that is made in America is just more expensive because people have to be paid more in the United States. There's a reason why we import so many goods. It's just cheaper. So no
Johnny,
matter so when they go to put the tariffs on there, it's going to sound like a good idea, but in reality, people, like for instance, Amazon is destroying the local economies of cities and towns all over the United States. But people don't care because they think that the prices are cheapest on Amazon. They do not care that their a local economy and the jobs are being taken away from the people, from their own neighbors, because of Amazon. They don't
no,
even care because the products are cheaper.
but no, and listen, that is a very fair point. I'm saying that I don't think the tariffs will happen if there's going to be some. We'll see. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he goes through with it, and I think that would be a mistake personally because it costs far more. It's far more to build things here in America because again, you have to pay them actual living fucking wages and actually have to pay them wages. Whereas, like for example, like in my industry, when the like massive ships go to break down, they don't get breaking down in their own countries where they're built. They go to Africa, ship that thing, and then they it's just people friggin' with bare feet, just with blow torches, and the
Yep.
reason they far far
I mean, look at Dubai. Everybody goes there because it's supposed to be so much opulence, right? Do you know how many fucking slaves they have working in Dubai?
yeah, a lot.
That's like 4 out of 5 people who
Yeah,
reside in Dubai are slaves, modern day slaves.
yeah, like most Americans.
And I don't think it's going to change under Trump. And that's the next thing I want to talk about, especially all of these people gloating. And I don't want to mention any names because I'm not trying to be disrespectful to
Shout out,
anybody in particular. So
shout out.
I'm just gonna come out and say it, Cap. I'm gonna come out and say it. The people who are celebrating Trump winning the White House. Number one, question I have for you. Were you a broke loser who couldn't get no pussy the 4 years he was in the White House? Okay. Were you still a broke loser when Biden was in the White House? If the answer is yes to those two questions, you are still going to be a broke loser with Trump in the White House the next 4 years. I'm going to there's no way that I can overstate this, Cap. Don't get too happy. Most people who are broke today are still going to be broke in 4 years. And
Well,
don't blame Trump and don't blame Biden. Blame yourself.
well, listen, and there's definitely truth to that, but I feel like that's every election, right? People think like my party won, so they get excited. They do. They get very excited. I think overall, I understand why people get how they do. It's if some people treat politics like they treat sports, right? Like they treat the Democrats like it's your Mets, or like they treat the Republicans like it's my Bruins, right?
I'm
Like
not
that.
very popular among Mets fans because I'm too rational.
Uh, so you're a moderate Democrat. But I think when it comes down to it, um, I don't get too annoyed with that because I understand that's just human nature, right? Like your side won, so you're excited, and it's annoying, and I think it's kind of pathetic, but I get it. Overall, and this is the big thing I have to say, because like I don't know if you saw the Jimmy Kimmel or the Stephen Colbert, like Jimmy Kimmel,
I've been
like
avoiding all of it.
oh my god. So Jimmy Kimmel was like we broke down crying on national TV,
Are
right?
you fucking kidding?
I'm dead ass serious. So he broke
Can
down.
somebody put this guy in some sort of like inpatient therapy? You're a multi millionaire sitting up there on national TV with the most privilege of anybody on planet Earth, and you're gonna sit there and shut your weak ass
Like,
bitch ass up.
this is a bad day for women. This is a bad day for minorities. This is bad. I'm like, holy fuck. And it's like, and he was like crying. And I'm like, yo, this is crazy. It's just, this is my honest opinion. I don't think who's in office really, like, I don't think you're going to see much of a difference in your day to day life from Biden.
Exactly,
You're not,
exactly,
you're not
Cap.
much of a day difference in your day to day. Uh, I mean, we've seen it. I mean, we went from Trump to Biden. We went Biden to Trump, and all things are more expensive, and things have,
Yeah, but
again,
there were going to be more respect. They were going to be more
right,
expensive just because of the byproducts of what
right.
the Rona did to shut down the
No,
economy.
I understand that, but overall, my life's been pretty much the same.
Right.
And like there's not going to be vans that come out and is that a woman? Get her in the cage. Like that's not going to happen.
And you know
And
why you're right, Cap? I want to like put an exclamation point on what you just said. What you just said was super important, right? It's a bad day for women. Her. Did Cap, did I not just finish fucking telling you that a bunch of women are now hitting the eject button on having casual sex, which we've been begging them to stop doing anyway. They're not doing that, they're getting off the dating apps, right? So they're going to be taking advantage of less men. They're divorcing their husbands, they're ending their relationships and all of that over the election.
but like,
Okay, go out there and pay your own goddamn bills, right? Go do whatever it is that you want to do. You're claiming that you lost all your rights, right? But now you basically said that you've gone on strike. So which is it? Because if you were really subjugated by men, then you couldn't leave those marriages or those relationships. You wouldn't have a choice but to get up under a man. No, under Trump, you are still going to be able to go out there and get your own money on OnlyFans, like half of you chicks been doing anyway.
well,
OnlyFans is not going to shut down because Trump is in the White House. Y'all still going to be dotting it up. Y'all still going to be renting out your bodies for $4.99 a month.
maybe $6 on the plus plan,
You know what I'm saying? Like
whatever
we're
plan.
we're not impressed. Like I don't want to hear about how you lost all of these rights as you exercise all of your rights. Like
Well,
get the fuck out of here with that.
like this is my thing. Uh, the people that like I'm breaking up with my husband because they didn't vote a certain way. Now, listen, me and my
I
wife,
really hope that they get nothing in those divorces.
me and my wife do have different politics. We do
Yeah.
we voted for different people this election.
Except that she would not be willing to date a trans man, though. But you
And
know.
the Trans Am going blam blam. Yeah, like you I couldn't resist that. So I think like we voted for different people. But the beauty of having a healthy relationship is understanding you're going to have different viewpoints. I
Oh, you're
might
not going to have her burned at the stake for voting
not
for Kamala Harris?
fucking care that much. I'm like, yeah, I'm not. You're like, what?
Which she must be burned at the stake.
How dare you not view the same fucking shit the same way? I mean, no, she's a human being. She has her own viewpoints, and that's most normal fucking relationships. The,
Right,
the biggest problem I have is like this whole like, oh, like if he didn't vote for this, like I'm not, I'm not gonna stay with my husband or things. I just and I to the same flip side of like a man's like, oh, but I can't stay with my girl because of this. I'm like, it's cringe. It's like, dude, like, are you that? It was your relationship that surface level, right?
right, yep,
That's all you fucking like. That's all you talked about. I like
right,
that. That's just indicative that your relationship wasn't that good to begin with.
right,
And I think overall, I just as for like the women and the sex, like I don't really have to worry about that, like the whole strike thing, because like I'm not looking for a girlfriend. Obviously, I have a wife.
right.
My thing is, it's like you're all not fucking special. And like
No,
you're not special enough to really fucking care. If like there's gonna be other women that like, oh, okay, like yeah, no, listen, like I could use an extension right now inside me. But like I think, quite frankly, like they're gonna go on this like mythical strike for like a few weeks and then go back to
Yep.
their
And go back to their regular fucking lives, just like everybody else.
everybody
You know,
else.
when
Like
everybody,
it's like
when
every fucking
Biden,
celebrity that says like I'm gonna leave the country if X president wins or this
and they
president.
never do.
They never fucking do. Like those people, like there was one fucking person, I forget the fucking name. He says, I'm gonna set myself on fire if Trump wins. Well, where's the gasoline and where's the fucking matches? I
Well,
want
I'm
it.
not going that far, Cap. You know, I don't. I'm not for that.
Yo, I'm just saying, like, I'm gonna shut myself up. Shut the fuck
Lock
up.
him in a padded room.
What?
Lock him in a padded room for saying that
No,
dumb
like,
shit.
no, but like, I forget which celebrity it was. I'm like, and it's like, oh, I'll leave the country. Like, then fucking leave. Like, leave.
Yeah,
If that is how you look at things, just leave. And it's
yeah.
just, I will say, I have to say this, and I'm sorry for ranting.
No,
The
no.
one thing,
Please continue.
one thing that irks me with Democrats right now, liberals, the whole fucking conspiracy theory of like the election being voter fraud. And we've had more in depth conversations on this channel
Yeah.
about in 2020, right?
Hmm.
Now they're sounding exactly the fucking same. Oh well. Hmm.
I haven't heard
No,
any
dude. So
conspiracy theories
the
from the
other
Democrats.
98% posted on like a huge, and you had a bunch of people saying like, yeah, like Trump stole this election. Trump's like, you're seeing a bunch of posts of that from liberals, and it's
Oh
just,
yeah, I don't think anybody's paying them any mind.
but no,
Nobody should
dude,
be paying them any
you
mind.
say that, but like there's like hundreds of thousands of people's like
But you
commenting
know
this.
who's not saying that? Kamala Harris is not saying that.
No,
Biden
because
is not saying that.
listen, I'll give it to Kamala Harris. She can see it. She now Kamala Harris could have been petty. She could have been extremely
Yeah,
petty.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, like oh, you know
No, but
what?
they
Like,
were petty. Did you see how they how she talked about it in in her concession
yeah,
speech?
true, true,
She
true.
was being petty.
Yeah, she was being petty. You're right.
Yeah. You know,
Like,
because over here, you know, we call, to congratulate, we call to concede, we accept
result of
the
the American.
results of the election. And the thing is, like I talked to my liberal client today, and we both agreed on this too. If the 2020 election was stolen, then they could have just stolen the 2024 election as well. I just think that the that Kamala Harris had no public equity. She had no social equity that because most people did not vote for Biden in 2020. Most people voted against Trump. And so, when Trump came back around the second time and we just came back from basically Biden doing absolutely nothing and Kamala Harris, I forgot she was the vice president.
Yeah,
They were a complete fucking zero. Then
yeah.
people are like, well, it can't possibly get any worse. So there really wasn't any like, oh, and another thing too, all of this, Trump hates women, all of this. Personally, he might, but on a public official level, the only thing they did when they got rid of Roe v. Wade was get rid of bad legislation that was poorly written and was not legal. They
Yeah.
got rid of that and they let the states vote. So you know what happened? Most states voted to make abortion legal in their constitutions. So
Mhm.
it wasn't that he was trying to take abortion away from women. Who has had more women get abortions than Donald Trump himself? I'm pretty sure he loves abortions more than anybody in the country, right?
Like, listen,
Like,
listen.
let's be real about that.
Yeah, I mean, listen. Like, I think the abortion issue again. Yeah, Roe v. Wade was poorly worded, and it was just
It didn't
yeah.
have good legal basis
No,
to stand. It was all emotion.
yeah. I mean, the thing is overall because I see it because I live in a blue state. Unfortunately, the
The blue state needs a little tinge of red in it.
what's that?
The blue state needs a little tinge of red in it.
Well, a little bit more red. Actually, funny enough, there was a lot more red in this last election in these blue states. Like
Yeah.
it, like to very surprising. Like the state I grew up in, I was like, wow, that like few more percentages like actually could have been red for like the first time in like 60 years or something. So I was like, so I think overall, like if we're with the whole abortion thing and like the ban and all that thing, because I know that was a big talking point, really. like Trump is like the one campaign I think I sent you of like them like, "Oh, what are you pregnant?" And they just arrested her because like you can't leave. It's just like ridiculous ad campaigns that which gave me AIDS.
Hmm.
Like there's one of those things I'm like it was just kind of laughable. It wasn't like if you were in a blue state, I saw that a lot from I have friends that are very liberal. They're gonna take away our rights. I'm like, no, you're not. They're not. You're fine. Like you're living in a blue area. And
Yeah,
then what about those
exactly.
what are those blue women in the red area and all that stuff? I'm like, you know, well, there probably has been some extreme cases, and it's just overall, you know, I'm mixed on abortion because I think overall I believe in the separation of church and state. I don't believe religious beliefs have anywhere or any bearing on law or should have any bearing on law. But then some could argue like, well, then murder, like morality. But I think you can be moral but not be religious. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So
Well,
it's
that hey, you and Lutch are best buddies when it comes to that concept.
yeah, but except I'm not a fucking shill. Anyways, I think the when it
I'm
comes to
glad you didn't say the other word.
yeah,
We'd be in a lot of trouble with YouTube. Thank you
yeah,
for
yeah, yeah.
for remembering that we're on YouTube.
But yeah, I mean I don't listen like again. I I'm hoping Trump does well. I'm hoping he does well. I'm hoping things go well. Do I think he's going to be the fucking band-aid to fix everything or the magic cure for everything? No, I don't. I think if anything, it's just going to be another presidency, and then in 4 years we're going to all get them together and bitch about the next two, right? I mean, I actually do want your opinion on this. If Bernie Sanders ran, like if he actually was the pick, do you think he would have beat Trump back in what was that 2016?
Yes. 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 Absolutely.
Because I don't think
That 81 million votes that you saw in 2020, you would have seen that in 2016.
Bernie pol- policy wise, I don't really agree with much with him, right? But I think overall, as a human being, you could say he's a good person,
Right.
right?
You don't think that any of his policies are, nefarious or, have some sort of
I
ill will attached to them.
thinks he's doing. He believes what he's doing is best. But like,
Hmm.
there's moments in that campaign that was a little cringy. But like, yeah, like that's all politicians. But like Bernie, I think overall is a decent human being.
Right.
The same,
Unlike the Clinton chick. I don't
yeah,
think she was a decent human
like
being.
Hillary Clinton, who like, let's be real, like that was, a terrible, terrible selection.
I do think that Bill's a decent human being, unless he was on that Epstein plane.
I think
He just wanted his dick sucked, man. I mean, that's all we really want in this life, right? A nice meal, a nice sandwich, and getting our dick sucked a little bit.
Lewinsky's jaw gets fucking sore at one point, right? Like,
You
he
know?
different help. So,
Yeah.
um, but I just think I don't know, man. It's just we're in such a weird time because I don't think either of these candidates were great, and it's just
What'd you say about either of the candidates?
they're not great.
Yeah, I do want to say this, Cap. My predictions for this, I don't think that these next 4 years are going to go well, and you're going to see a blue wave again. And if that blue wave is complete, the country is going to be in even more trouble when they choose all Democrats next time around. I
Yeah,
just don't. Yeah, I just
because
don't think it's going to go well. I think that you're going to see unique facets where Trump is going to say something to infuriate some world leader, and we're going to get that much closer to World War III. Because what's happening in the Middle East, there's just too many high level, high stakes conflicts already set in the motion, and Donald Trump does not like make people calm down and feel more at ease. He ramps
but
up tensions.
but I see, and this is where I think your liberalism, which is a disease, kind of kicks in here. Is that I think overall we're giving a little unfair to Trump. I think Trump in high pressure situations has shown himself to be capable of doing okay. I mean, the guy had two assassination attempts, and I mean, just the way that guy bounced back up after getting shot in the ear. Um, listen. When it comes to Trump, does does he have a manner in speaking in which is not refined? Absolutely. But
No,
I
but that's what I think is the problem. He may inadvertently say something off the cuff that is going to touch at the ego when there's already like high level conflicts already in motion. That's what I'm talking about. That
I
lack of refinement is a danger when we're talking about we're not just talking about regular geopolitics. We're talking about geopolitics where we're on the doomsday clock 3 seconds away from World War III. That's what I'm talking about.
I think
That's
what,
what gives me fear.
but I don't. I think there's some unneeded fear there. Now I could be wrong. Maybe Trump it kicks it off. But I mean, last term with Trump, you know I thought was okay. I'm not saying perfect. I thought it was okay. I think overall this two,
October 7th didn't happen. We're post October 7th. We're post Ukraine, Russia. Like that Middle East situation is heating up real bad, man. It's heating up.
I mean, that Middle East situation's been always heated up, cool off for like
Yeah, but it's
more.
getting to be where Iran is starting to ramp up. Iran has been trying to avoid war or like full scale war for a long time, and you know, they're now going to be making the case that they were forced into a direct conflict with Israel. That's the case that they're going to make.
Well, I mean, but you already know my opinion on the Israel thing, which is very
Hmm. And we can't talk about that on YouTube.
like, so we're not going to go there. So
Yeah,
that's
we
why.
can't go there. We're
Yeah,
not
so
going to do that. No,
you're gonna bring
we're
up.
not the frauds in Florida getting deplatformed.
I, and I just want to make sure I word this very carefully. I just don't like getting involved in foreign wars. I just don't. I'm not
Right.
saying weird because you know how people on the internet would clip that out of context. Like, no, I don't believe in getting involved in foreign conflicts. I just don't.
Yeah,
Um,
I totally agree.
but I think when it comes down to it, yeah, this election was another example of how broken the two party system is.
I still
Be-
think it's a one party system.
no, they're both the same. I mean, in that degree, because both
I think they work
Republican
together to
and
to
Democrat
fuck with our
they,
emotions.
they run the debates, they do all that, and that's what people
Yeah.
don't understand. I mean, if I'm being blunt, it would be nice to have other options, and
And we
nice to
should have access to those other options. It's total bullshit, Cap. This is not a full representative democracy like they want to say.
yeah,
Like if there would be 1,000, there would be 1,000 people running for president every 4 years if it was a legitimate democracy. But they put the people in front of you that they want to put in front of you. Again, and I can't. I have to go back to what you said before, Cap. The fact that there was no redoing of a primary, they didn't even do a primary. They
no,
basically just left Biden to go unopposed because that's what they thought that they should do, even though they knew that the dude was not there anymore.
yeah,
And then when he finally drops out in the 11th hour, there was one day of speculation, Cap. There was just one day of speculation of what they was going to do. And then it was like, oh, let's throw it behind the dark skinned vagina.
yeah.
Because, like, get out of here with like that's not real democracy.
No, no. But remember, though, Democrats want democracy, and they want freedom and all that stuff, but they're just going to force their pick down. They've done this.
Everybody wants you to be free to agree with them.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, it's sad, but I actually do got to head off here.
Yeah.
It was a good show. Random, prompt, impromptu.
Yeah, we should do more of these for the people. We are thinking about recording some of our phone conversations and putting out clips of our phone conversations up here on the podcast because the conversation flows a lot better when we're not in front of the cameras.
Yeah,
But
I
this is
mean,
this is pretty good.
yeah, this is pretty good. I mean, I'll say this: people appreciate hitting that like button. You can talk in the chat. We're a black run business, black owned business. And
Well, no, 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 no. Trump is in the White House now. So it's your business now, buddy.
Okay, okay. So we're a white brother, and if you want to support white voices, like me and DEG, who's trans white, you make sure to hit that like button, comment, and subscribe. And also, interested, come support us, become a member on the channel. We are very up and down with our upload schedule, but we'll try. We're trying to be better.
Yeah,
But just like,
we've had a very traumatic 2024,
yeah,
and it had
it's
nothing
been
to
rough.
do with the election. You know,
No,
we
no, I'm
both
not gonna.
lost our closest parent this
Jimmy
year.
Jimmy Kimmel should get a pussy grafted on his chest so he can get fucked. Like he, yeah, like he's such a pussy. I just can't stand. Oh my god, it's so sad. It's so sad. What a
I'm embarrassed that you had to tell me that. I'm embarrassed for him.
yo. It's crazy. But listen,
But you know
if
what? He's probably going to get laid a lot off of that public display.
yeah, well, by men, but
All
I.
all the women who are going on strike, you know, they'll make an exception for him.
So if you don't want to have a pussy grafted to your chest, make sure to hit that subscribe button, like, comment, share with your
Oh
friends.
my god.
I am Captain Paul. That is Dr. Evil Genius.
Yeah.
And we'll see you in the next one.
Yeah, I'm going to go back to being sick.
I wonder if Kimmel flailed when he gets fucked in his chest.
Hey, yo, and we're gone. And we're gone.